Hope Ascending, like
Hmm.
that's such a lovely title. Why did you pick this?
Well, actually a track that I wrote um, before the whole album writing period. There was a young violinist, Esther Abrami. This features on her album, which has come out before mine. And so she has a version of this which she plays beautifully. But I wanted to feature it on my album because I wanted to realise it in a slightly different way, with a full symphony orchestra and a piano. Um, and it's such a, as the name would suggest, it's a track which radiates hope and energy and light. And and it's not that I it's not that I wanted to write a track and call it this and put it on the album. It's just I needed to do this for myself in a very selfish way at the time. And often when I'm writing music, it is for myself. I'm not thinking, oh, that person might like this. It was a very cathartic thing for me to write this album through the last 2 years or however long it was. And so from that point of view, this is how I needed to feel. This is what I needed, and I wanted to share it with people as well. I heard just to give you a story about the violinist who appears on this track. Years and years and years ago, I remember watching a program, and I heard a very young violinist, Jack Liebeck, when he was about 15, on a young musician competition. And I was really moved by his playing, and so I found him out, and luckily for me, he was available and willing to play violin on this track. So the majestic, soaring violin part you can hear is played by Jack Liebeck, and my goodness me, can he play? It's a track I'm enormously thrilled to have realised, to have had the opportunity to write and have recorded as well, because it's a huge orchestra. I was in the room remotely as the Viennese. We had the symphony orchestra in Vienna play, and so I felt as I was among them. I was conducting as well from real world studios. Not that it was any use to them because of the lag, but I just felt like I was one of them, and I found the whole process completely thrilling.
Yeah, there's so much joy in this track. Was this your intention whilst writing it to convey that sense of joy?
Yes, it was. I suppose, yeah, as with much of my music, there are points of tension, and it's not joy for joy's sake. So it starts off in quite plaintive mode. But it's just open. So it's almost like the piano is in full harmonic mode. You can hear later on the harmonics in the violin which come in, and just creating that sense of space, just to feel alive, and as if everything is possible. It's such a, we all have. Well, I certainly need to take those times for myself where I have quiet time, and it's almost like I'm recharging battery and just allowing giving space for myself to recharge all my energy. So and I wanted to do that for others too. So I guess this is that. Hope Ascending.
Excellent. Most of your tracks are piano led, and you mentioned the violinist in this one that you specifically had in mind.
Yeah.
Did the violin come before the writing, or the writing come before the violin?
So with this track, I would definitely say that it's a partnership. It almost feels like a mini concerto in a way. And when I think of music, it's very rarely compartmentalized. Can't speak today. When I think of music, it's very rarely compartmentalized. It's usually as one. So I don't work in studios. I work usually just in a chair with a pencil sometimes, or you know, I love the idea of having a really big, beautiful music studio, and I've toyed with it so many times. Just, but in the end, what I always come back to is a really nice chair with a nice view, and that just allows me to see the music in its entirety. So the orchestration and the production and the piano and everything else, whether it be a banjo or whatever. And so everything comes at once with this. It comes fully formed. So it's always a case of going out to find those people who can deliver that in the best possible way. And then just going back to Jack, I just remember his sound on that program that I was watching him when I was a little boy as being so luminous. And that's what I wanted for this piece. I wanted that luminous. There are plenty of amazing violinists who can fly around, but the soulfulness that Jack exudes is really quite special. So I recorded him. Well, I was in my house actually, and he was somewhere else, and we recorded remotely. And I was communicating with him. I remember talking about the section with harmonics in the track, and he was saying, well, look, it's like this, or we could do it like this. He was a dream to work with. Again, when you have the opportunity to work with wonderful musicians who are open and generous, it feels like such a gift to be able to do that and connect with people in that way.
Nice. You talked about the piece being kind of like a concerto. Another piece sprang to mind when I was listening to this, and that was the Lark Ascending.
Yeah.
Was that in the back of your mind at all when you were?
No, it wasn't. I love that piece. I love the Lark Ascending. I think the thing about, I guess, pieces of music like that, you speak of Lark Ascending, Clair de Lune, Moonlight Sonata, classical pieces of music which have entered the public's consciousness and are indelible, timeless. Again, you know, I'd never put myself in that bracket and saying, well, this is like that. But I think you have to be really open to the moment as a composer if you're creating art, and subtract yourself. Constantly when I'm writing, I'm taking myself out of the equation. That's what I try to do more and more. And leave myself at the door, whatever preconceptions I may have, whatever plan I might have had for that day. And which is why I often talk about improvisation and just allowing yourself to be in the moment, and just to be present. And then when you do that, often wonderful things can happen. They don't always happen, but wonderful things can happen. And so that's a moment, I guess, that Hope Ascending is a piece where I felt that I was free to express what I was feeling at that time. So it's representative of how I was feeling and how I wanted to feel. So that's the best thing I can say. I'm not ever going to compare it to pieces as wonderful as Lark Ascending, but hopefully people will be able to find something in that piece of music that they can respond to.